Hello friends, what's going on? Welcome on back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well, friends. Really do hope that... Pause. Yes, I've shaven again. Yes, I look like a 15-year-old teenager / amphibian man, but sometimes that's just the way I roll. Let my face breathe. Welcome back to Chelsea News, the daily series here on Football Therapy, where I see what's going on, what's being said about the Blues, giving you my opinion, more importantly, asking for yours, dear sweet friends. Lots to get into today. It's a transfer special, because everyone's talking about Chelsea players. I mean, let's be real, man. Like, Chelsea's a great team, but we know we might probably have to sell a player or two. We know we've got some aging players in certain positions. We know there's a great deal of dysfunction despite how good our manager is. So there's going to need to be a shake-up eventually. So does it surprise you that, we're being linked with players? Probably not. And I want to talk about said players in today's video. And you know what? I really need to get a tan. But we'll forget about that for the moment, okay? It's not sunny here, so give me a break. And drop a like on the video, please. It takes a second, and it helps me out, man. You're welcome to subscribe too, should you choose to do so. Make sure you hit that all-important bell notifications icon. So we're going to go for a bunch of stuff today. Chelsea being linked with Rennes striker Hugo Ekitike, I believe. I read somewhere that, I'm completely trusting this just from reading on Twitter, that he's of Nigerian descent. So maybe Ekitike, 19 years old, we'll talk about him in just a second. Germany, Borussia Dortmund want this player as well. Raphinha, Chelsea are being linked with. Mikel Arteta at Arsenal wants Armando Broja. I bet he does. Lots to get into. Settle in, get comfortable. Let's start off with Hugo Ekitike, if that's how you say it. Let's read a quick article from, or cite a partial piece from Sport Witness. On January the 17th, we covered claims by Foot Mercato that Chelsea have contacted, in quotation marks, Rams over the signing of Hugo Ekitike. If we are, again, feel free to correct me in my pronunciation in the comments if you know how it's correctly said. The striker's contract expires in 2024, and it was also stated it will be necessary to pay at least 40 million euros to take him away from the Ligue side this campaign. 40 million euros for a teenager playing for Iran. Sounds like a lot. I mean, we'll look at his stats. They're good, but it sounds like a lot. Bild now state that Borussia Dortmund are in the picture to sign the France under-20 international. They view him as a potential candidate to replace Erling Haaland if the BVB star decides to leave the Bundesliga in the next window. But there are other clubs also like the Champions League winners interested in the player, as well as Newcastle. Of course Newcastle, always Newcastle. And Paris Saint-Germain. Well, on Paris Saint-Germain, obviously they beat Real Madrid in a stinky Champions League tie yesterday. I mean, it was stinky, wasn't it? Real Madrid. You know what, man? I'm just going to quickly say this. Obviously, you guys have read this on social media. It's so bad that they're getting rid of the away goal rule. Do you know why they brought in the away goal rule? To prevent games like that yesterday, Real Madrid, because there's no intention, there's no incentive to go and score an away goal. You're like, alright, we'll just stink the gaff out and try and win at home. And they're like, alright, well, when we go to your place, we'll stink the gaff out. At least, you've got incentive to score away goals, and you had these amazing narratives of like, aggregate scoreline of 5-5, and they go through on away goals, the underdog, what a story. Rant over. Anyway, Kylian Mbappe's good, isn't he? He's clearly going to Real Madrid. I don't want Haaland to go to Real Madrid too. If he has to go somewhere, no, it's not Chelsea, let him go to Barca. Let's fire up El Clasico again and replace Messi and Ronaldo with Mbappe and Neymar. Even though Real Madrid fans seem to think they're getting both Haaland and Mbappe, despite them being a skint club. Makes no sense to me. Anyway, BVB, Borussia Dortmund will need to replace Haaland. Enter this kid, Hugo Ekitike, if that's how you say it. Chelsea reportedly interested in this player and have reportedly, other headlines are suggesting, have started talks, not negotiations, but inquiries. And by the way, it's important to note Chelsea have started inquiries with every player under the sun, so we are inclined to believe this. That's just how it works. Okay, so in Ligue 1, bearing in mind he's playing for Rennes, let's quickly see where they are in the Ligue 1 table for context. So yeah, they're 5th, so they're not even a top 4 team currently. Yeah, and you know what, they're 4 points off 4th as well. I know they've been in the Champions League, but they're not like, up there. And I'm saying that for context because Hugo, despite that, is pulling off great numbers as a 19-year-old. He's born in 2002, the summer of 2002. I mean, I was like off to college, I think, maybe. Kind of, nearly. So in Liga, he scored 9 goals in 13 appearances and assisted twice. So that's 11 goal involvements in 13 as a teenager. In fact, that's a goal involvement about every 100 minutes, which of course is an elite return in not one of the most elite teams in Ligue 1, in the French league. So it's very impressive. As I said, you'll see this guy being linked with more people, you'll see this story surfacing a little bit more, and I wanted to reference it, so we'll keep an eye on that. But of course, you guys would rightfully say, but Jan, why are we looking at a teenage striker? If anything, we need other wide forwards, but if for some reason Lukaku doesn't work out, you'll want a new senior striker. But, let's all hope it works out for Lukaku because he's our player. But we've got Armando Broja, who's like 21. Well, I don't need to buy a 9, because he's a 19-year-old striker with all those goals at the top level. He's not going to drop into the development team, is he? You buy him because you buy him. Whatever, we'll see what happens, but we'll keep an eye on that. Okay, yeah, so on Armando Broja, quickly, I'm going to quickly cite Football.London here. Football.London understands the Gunners boss, or the Gunners, are monitoring Chelsea loanee Armando. Oh yeah, hold on, let's say this right. Armando Broja. Armando Broja. That's apparently how you say it. Apparently Armando himself has just said it at Broja because that's how everyone says it in the UK. But I'm reliably informed, Armando Broja. Broja. Right, we got that out a few times. So let's call him Armando. And the Gunners, Arsenal, reportedly, so say Football.London, are monitoring the Chelsea loanee ahead of the summer, with coach Mikel Arteta a huge admirer of the young Albanian. I spoke yesterday, on yesterday's video I believe, about how all European elite clubs are looking at him, including now Borussia Dortmund, maybe to replace Haaland, as well as even Bayern Munich. They love Chelsea Academy players. They got Musiala, they wanted Callum Hudson-Odoi, all that. So they're, it's not surprising they're now looking at Broja. But the thing is with Armando, he signed a 5-year deal before he went on loan to Southampton. He is a Chelsea fan, if he said it himself. I know it's like the go-to thing. That's what Ampadu said on the mic before. It's what Conor Gallagher says. It's what they do want to play for the champions of Europe in London. Amazing facilities, yada 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 yada. World-class coach, etc. Broja's no different, though he has to play as a striker, as a starting striker. I think that's non-negotiable, right? And this is where it gets tricky with Armando, because at the very least, dude needs to be playing like 35 games a season. And maybe Chelsea can do that for a second striker because they play in so many competitions. They play in Europe, unlike Southampton, which is loads of extra games, and odds are they go deeper in cups, than say a Southampton would. So with that, an injury to the first choice striker in Romelu Lukaku, you could bring in Armando, to be honest, and if he goes in form, he takes his spot. So, you got to be like, bearing in mind Thomas Tuchel, after a while, he'll play whoever's in form, I think. I understand why he's been a little bit more persistent with Lukaku in poor form. He's an £100 million striker in his prime, and, there is a benefit to keep playing him, and we saw him score 2 vital goals in the Club World Cup. So I understand that, but with Broja, you've got to, this kid is in a really vital developmental period of his career, and dude has got to play a lot. Little update as well on Cy Phillips' Twitter page at Cy Phillips Sport. I just want to do a little update that he's taken here from Fabrizio Romano via Transfer Zone. Firstly, Chelsea did go in for Marquinhos. That's something that I've reported on here ages ago on the channel. In the summer, Chelsea made like 85 million euro bids for both Federico Chiesa of Juventus and of course Marquinhos of Paris Saint-Germain, Thomas Tuchel's former club. Absolutely adores Marquinhos, as does many football fans. Boy, what a defensive player. Quoting Sai here, that's quoting Fabrizio, Chelsea wanted to make an official proposal for 80 million euros with an extra 10 million add-ons for, quote, dream signing Marquinhos last summer, but PSG were not ready to accept any offers. Also, he's happy at PSG, fair enough. So, you know, but he probably was like, Tuchel was like, hey man, I've just come over here and won the Champions League. Look at Thiago Silva, he's loving it. Want a slice? but fair enough. PSG were just like, no mate, we're rich. Like, we won't even sell Mbappe with 6 months left on his deal for 200 million. Would prefer to lose him on a free. That's the kind of people you're dealing with here. So these man, you know, they're not going to budge. Anyway, not just that, Sai's also quoted Fabrizio Romano here saying Barcelona have offered a 2-year contract with an extra optional year for Cesar Azpilicueta. He's yet to make a final decision. Something that, again, we've said here on the channel, 2+1 is probably what Barcelona would offer. Seemingly, that is the case. That is what they've offered Cesar Azpilicueta. Chelsea, at most, would probably offer him a 1+1. Like I said here previously on the channel, Cesar might be looking at Thiago Silva like, but I'm professional like this guy. This guy's going to be 38 and playing. Can I be like this guy? Chelsea can't take a risk that you're just going to have like Thiago Silva longevity. Like, I get that. Do you know what I mean? Still, we'll see what happens. 1+1. I doubt Chelsea will give him a 2+1 like Barcelona will. I doubt Chelsea will give him the same wages as Barcelona will. But then again, he loves Chelsea. But he also might want to go to Barca. We'll see what happens there. Let's end the video with Raphinha, because this is exciting, man. And this is a player that Chelsea have been linked with quite a lot, dude. A very, very exciting... you know, all the football nerds, the analysts, you know, the scouts or whatever, they've been talking about Raphinha for a long, long time. Super direct, super talented, just about entering his prime. He's not super young, he's 25 years old, but he's ready to cook, you would think. Like, the next 5 years, he could really push it up. I'm not saying he could do like what Mo Salah did at 25, but he could certainly be very, very useful. Let's read a little quote, a little extract here from Callum McAvoy from Football.London. Long-time Chelsea transfer target Raphinha is still on the Blues' radar and could sign for the club come the summer. It's previously reported that the Leeds United winger could have left Ellen Road in January, with Chelsea, Liverpool, West Ham and Bayern Munich strongly linked with the Brazilian. Raphinha ended up staying, but the rumours surrounding his future could have continued to persist, and Chelsea remain in the hunt for the player. He's 25 years old, of course. Let's read a little bit here. It would not prove to be a cheap deal, however, as the Brazilian is valued at £36 million by Transfermarkt. True, but Transfermarkt doesn't take into account how much he's valued to said club, which is important. And it would be expected that Leeds would be reluctant to sell their talisman. Absolutely. But, ladies and gentlemen, Leeds could be pulled down into a relegation battle. Let's have this right. If Leeds get relegated, like, there might even be something in Raphinha's contract that's like, let me go now. Get me out of here. You know, obviously he's not going to play in the Championship. Obviously they'd want to sell him for money, but they'd be able to sell him for more had they remained in the Premier League. If he goes to the Championship, there's probably a clause that they have to sell him. He might do a transfer request. You might, you know, all this kind of stuff. But big clubs want him, man. Big clubs want Raphinha, including Chelsea. Chelsea want an additional wide attacker. There is this idea of 2 out, 1 in. But is the 1 in going to be Raphinha? Is he going to stack up the numbers? I don't know, maybe. But are Chelsea going to bring in, like, alternative wing-backs that can continue scoring? Maybe like Reece James and Ben Chilwell. Are Chelsea going to replace 1 or 2 midfielders that have a goal in them? Possibly, you know. Declan Rice can maybe score a goal. I haven't looked at Tchouaméni's numbers, but I know he can score a goal. in terms of its offensive numbers. So Chelsea might just be relying on goals from a freshen up around the whole gaff. Do you know what I mean? Raphinha, what do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Is he one for you? I probably, I was going to say I prefer him to Federico Chiesa. I don't know. Federico Chiesa just seems like this big game player. Do you know what I mean? Like almost Havertz vibes. Like, I'm going to score in the Champions League final. I get that vibe from Chiesa. Do you get that from Raphinha? I don't know. What do you think? Ladies and gentlemen, comment down below. I'm keen to get your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on said players we've discussed in today's video. It's been a fun one, hasn't it? Hasn't it been fun? If you're yet to subscribe, what are you doing, mate? Join me and the guys, me and the football therapy friends. Oh my word, what a terrible name for the football therapy subscribers. Football therapy friends, right. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining me. Please do drop a like on your way out. Be sure to enjoy the football. It's there to be enjoyed, and I'll see you later.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper.